Hi, so my name is Helena and I'm a high ticket mentor and CEO of Success Matrix Coaching, where we help global service providers create, sell, and deliver those 5-figure sales and create those 6-figure leaps in their business with the vehicle of both one on one and group high ticket sales, flagship programs based on the 4-step genius strategy that I've created, and peak performance mindset. So this combination helps my clients to achieve their mental, emotional, and financial leaps while they're manifesting a much, much happier life. And I firmly believe that learning how to create, sell, and deliver at a high dollar value is as much of an art as it is one of the best business strategies to invest in. And there's nothing better than an excellent, strong client testimonial that is the drive for your referral based business model. And today we are hosting Daniella, who is a love coach from New York, and she helps highly successful women attract their love within 12 months or sooner of working together, through her 6-step mind of love method, which we've worked on for the last 4 months of working together. More specifically, she helps her clients amplify their success, power, and riches by adding love to the equation. So hi, Daniela, and I'm so happy that you're here with me. This was a long introduction to do you a justice, in that sense.
I'll take it.
So let us first address a few questions before we share your brilliant first, live conversation, kind of like event results, which were obviously mind-blowing. So how are you doing today?
Good. I'm really good. I'm happy to be here.
So we've met each other a while ago online in like, I think it was one of the Facebook groups, right? And I loved your posts, the way you were expressing yourself in your marketing and everything. And I had no idea about your story or where were you at, in your business until we had our first conversation. So do you want to share with us like shortly, where were you at when we first met, like, and started having that conversation like around like 4 months ago?
Yeah. I think you responded to like a business, like the first thing you responded was a business post about my business. And then we started talking in Messenger, and it was really very quickly that we spoke. We basically related to each other as like mothers, and specifically I have a 2-year-old baby, and my baby was a lot younger then. And I was a place in my business where I had already created 6-figure years twice in a row, but the most recent year was nowhere near that. And it was like, obviously I was tired, I was sleep deprived, I was taking care of an infant, I was doing my absolute best to keep my business going, but I didn't really believe that I could. And I felt this deep internal conflict that I wanted to be with my baby, period. But I also wanted to want to be that successful do-it-all superwoman person that I don't even know if exists, but whatever it was, I wanted to be that, and I thought that I could be, but I felt bad about not being that. So it all kind of mixed together in this emotional thing that created results that I was not happy about in terms of my business. And we started talking, and you listened, I think, more than anything, and you shared with me just some very, very kind insights that is a natural thing to want to be with your child, and it's not a crazy thing to feel conflict, and more than anything that I could actually forgive myself first and foremost, and then from there really consider, what do I want to create for myself, really.
Yes, I mean, because that conflict is so common with successful women, which you're noticing as well, but it's more like in the love area. But again, creating family, and creating that balance between, our like ambition and work, and your basically your purpose, which is quite meaningful to you. It's like you're kind of like that person who loves to express herself through mission and work, and clients having results, like that gives you a lot of meaning and kind of like you know gratitude for your own kind of like work and experiences. So you yes, we met there. And what was it? Because I remember you just said at that point to me, you signed up with somebody. It was something on, was it like a marketing strategy or something? It was very specific. And so I was like,
It's actually on
okay,
productivity.
yeah.
It was a It was a group course, a fabulous one, a group course. There wasn't really much, one-on-one contact, but it was a group course on productivity, on how to be productive. Because I thought that was really like the only problem. I mean, I didn't really only think that was the problem, but that was the problem that I was willing to address. But clearly what I needed to address was the problem underneath, which was to be in alignment with what I was doing, to actually be that passionate person that you described. It's true that I care about what I do. I love my business. It's not just a thing that makes money. If I wanted to do that, I'd be like a dentist or something. I don't know. But it's important to me. And I also I want to be the kind of mother that's important to me too. So it took more than just productivity. We worked on that for sure. But it took a lot.
Of course. Yes. I mean, because one of the first things was, and this is because all the work that we do leads by what is the desire. And I don't mean that like in a shallow way, like, one day present type of desire, but what is like this, the deepest, longest kind of like longing, yearning that, only a person can sense and can describe, if they're willing. And so I could see with you, it was like this desire to combine, being a mother and then being also this role model for women who are actually desiring the life that you're having and experiencing right now, but are constantly kind of like, feeling left out on, in the love area, right? And so I could see that as your, mission and your purpose. And, I became excited about it as much as you did, right? So, yeah.
Yes.
So how come that you then like kind of like decided to add to that productivity course also kind of like our work?
I felt that when we spoke, I actually was able to feel like it was possible to have something I hadn't had before, to be more successful than I had ever been, and be, have the family that I want to have and be present. And I hadn't felt that in a long time. I hadn't actually had that hope. I hadn't actually had that sense that it was possible. So really like the core feeling was like, and it wasn't certain. It was like a little speck of like, maybe this is possible.
Yeah.
Damn, this woman's good. I have to be in her presence. But really, that was the thing. I realized that I had to be in your presence if I wanted to cultivate that feeling. Yeah. And then of course get the result.
And I think one of the reasons how we connected in that was because I kept reminding you that this is how your clients feel about, the small, like they don't really believe that they can get what they, so truly want. And that it's the same principle, right? So we're talking about principles and laws of the universe and, then adapting, the business to that basically, because I see that's how it works, the fastest for the types of people, that are creatives and, you were a yoga teacher, right? So teachers and therapists and people who are very intuitive, but also, super savvy and smart, right? So this is a very, special kind of, people, especially women, right?
Yes.
So how would you describe that transformation that went from, this little faith and, strong, but this like desire, and then kind of like, how did that transform then into this, confident type of mindset, and you kind of like emerging into this, what we had this like a live launch event, and that you felt so, calm and confident, and you were that mentor for all those women who, who looked up at you, all this time and all these months now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think with your help, you started to show me what I had forgotten, which is that I know something and that I'm good at what I do. And I'm also very much of a professional, that I'm not just some little girl who's just starting out, which is kind of how I felt at the moment. But I'm actually quite a professional person who knows how to get things accomplished and for a purpose. And so I started to believe you when you showed me that. Way before the launch, I started to see myself as a professional person who had fabulous content. And even if it wasn't actually massaged or, the page wasn't glossy, there's one thing I did know. I knew that my stuff was good. I knew that the work that I was doing with my clients was good. As you said, when we worked through the Mind of Love method, it was truly mind-blowing for me to see, because the content was mine, of course. But I realized I had been doing the same type of work with all of my clients, mostly private clients at the time. And it was a really seamless method. And it was mine. And it was something that I could take credit for. It wasn't, I think this happens with a lot of intuitive creative people. The thing that is easiest for us is I can often discredit. They're like, oh, whatever, that's just so easy. It's so obvious.
Yes.
But it's not. It's not. So I started to value what I had, what I do, who I am. And that combined with a lot of tears and deep emotional work, and also some very specific strategies to say, okay, you have a strategy that you can lean on. We're not just doing this, not fly by the seat of our pants. Like, this is what's going to happen, and this is how it's going to work, and this is why it's going to work. So I knew that. And so when we went into the live launch, something kicked in where I actually was able to see myself, and I was able to coach, and I was able to really connect with people on those videos. And it was seamless.
I was observing you on the other side. And one of the things, that people are not, necessarily aware of, the way I coach or, mentor people is like, I don't overwhelm. I don't, press upon you tons of information, but I listen, and, it can seem like, oh, there's no process, but there is a definite process to it. Right. But it's not mine necessarily, because there's like tons of options how, people can go about the same thing. Right. So it's more about observing you and where do you thrive? Where do you feel the most supported? What type of feedback or communication, or, like what really vibes you with your personality, basically, right? Because, you were kind of like, with your baby, and, you felt vulnerable, and kind of like that needed some time. And I was like, yes, but, in the essence of who you are, you're very talkative. Even though you're an introvert, you're a very wise and talkative person, right? Who loves to elaborate on things that are of important matter, right? And that's basically all that I needed to know. And then it was kind of like easy to, adjust the processes, marketing, like all the things, right? Which we built around that, right? So this was awesome. And I could see also, your women just kind of like went deep immediately, which is something, that it's not, that obvious in this online space, right? It's not something that you see in the groups, right? Like when people are, doing launches or whatever, it's just very mechanical and kind of like, send 200 emails and kind of like with no connection. So I think this is where you did yourself a big, big favor and just kind of trusted and leaned into this. It was such a like organic process. There was no fluff to it. It was just like honest and authentic. And, that was that basically. And then also you opening up to, just inviting your VA back in and kind of having that team kind of like, so to support you with doing all the extra work. I think that was what speeded up the process for sure, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's a funny point that you bring up that, the truth is, I remember thinking sort of midway through the strategy, and certainly at the very end of the launch, I remember thinking there couldn't have been a more perfect strategy for me. There really couldn't have been. And I didn't realize just how much you were tweaking it, because obviously it's not, you didn't make it up, but it was uniquely tailored to me and my business and, how I do things. And so, I really ended up saying like, what a coincidence. But of course, it was like, it was perfect. I completely, like, there's never been a more perfect strategy for me. And the reason why is because it was made for me, Yeah,
because it was tailored to you, but like I didn't know in advance, but I could just see where, everything was going and leading up to. And then you said even like, oh, because that you were actually studying launches and you wanted to launch and it was such a thing for you, right? And you were kind of like scared of it. It was like for the big people, like, or for the big teams or whatever. But this is like the way we did your kind of like, live event, if you will. Like it was just perfectly tailored, very, very intimate, and then we scaled that, right? So now it's going into the next round, and the way the group was created, even the name of the the program that we've co-created is just amazing, right? And it just spoke to the perfect ideal client mind and heart. And so also kind of like everything, all the work that we did behind the scenes, I think it's what came through all the copy and all the emails, like everything was just perfectly talking to that person, right? Before the launch, what was the like desired result that you wanted out of the launch? How many people, or how much income did you want?
Yeah. Well, what we set it up as, I imagine 8 women in the group, and and at the price point we had it, if we were to have half the people doing payment plan and half the people doing pay in full, that would have been an average of $72,000.
Okay.
You know,
Yes.
which, by the way, I thought about every now and then, but I didn't think about it too much, because if I did, I would get overwhelmed, you know, because I had never brought in that much in such a short amount of time. So the amount of people made a lot more sense.
Yes.
What happened was I brought in 5 women into the group, and I brought in 2 private clients
Perfect. Yeah.
at a much higher level than I had before.
Yes.
And it was natural. It was the most natural thing. I was not looking to create private clients. That really wasn't my focus at this particular moment. But it felt right. That was the right fit for these people, and that's exactly where they were meant to be.
I think it's also because it's kind of like what others are experiencing as well, what we call like, you know, this momentum gets created, and then you're in such a like a positive service based mindset that it's like, it's just new sale. Yes, because I just kept receiving your messages every day. Like every morning I would get like, another sale in. Like I was like, oh my God, like we're on the roll, right? Like it's the best messages, you know. It takes a bit of momentum, it takes, you know, faith, it takes mindset, and it takes, you know, strategy build up in terms of like how are you going to be serving those people so that you can actually open up the space and invite them in, right? And so this is something you did so beautifully, like you were, you know, natural on camera, which I knew obviously because you've filmed, you know, I could see in your social media that you've filmed tons of like videos, and I was like, why is nobody utilizing this? Like why is nobody like, you know, channeling this, you know? So but that's, you know, that's the information that we get. And I wish, you know, that more like, I know so many women who are kind of like you and are kind of like stuck in that kind of like, well, I know I have more, but you know, I don't know what to do with it, and I'm not sure if I want to go all in, and what does that all in mean? Like I don't even know, right? They just get stuck there, right? And they're not even willing to open up a conversation and like open those doors and like try, because they would be surprised. Like they would have the first type of results in like 30 days, right? Like it would be just, you know, something that they would just go fully in, right? And so this is something that I would wish for everybody, right? So what was then the actual result that you did get with those signups?
So,
Yeah.
so as I said, I wanted to bring in 8 women. I brought in 5 and 2 private clients,
Yeah.
and the numbers
At a
look
much,
like
much higher rate. Yes, sorry. Yes.
yes, at a much higher rate for the one-on-one. And the goal was 72,000. I brought in 73.
Yay. And the sales process was like only, I think the sales process of the actual sales and launching was like 16 days or something like that.
The last sale came in about 16 days later. So you're correct. You're correct.
Yes. Okay. It was very grounded also. That's why it was such a pleasure, because it was like you took time, you had, you know, that, you know, those conversations with people. And so you really kind of like vested yourself into creating that, you know, ideal first group, so that now they can go about and have those amazing kind of like outcomes, and then we can build from that, right? Yes. Okay, let me see.
That is something that I thought was also very important about this entire launch and the entire process, was that implicit in all of it was that my work, my launch, the program, everything is so worthy of putting in the proper amount of time, because I have seen so many people who were like, I have this beautiful idea, it's going to be great, and they put it up like 2 days later, and then they're really sort of deflated because nobody's, you know, bought, and it's not because their stuff isn't brilliant, it is, but they haven't given it the proper, you know, like
Like
preparation.
we worked on it, like we worked
And
on your signature offer, or you know, your signature method basically.
yeah,
And we worked on it, and you were even like, I'm not ready yet, I don't feel like it's, and I was like just making sure that you were not, you know, procrastinating, which you were not, but you were just like, you were such a, you know, in a positive way, professional, you know, perfectionist, that you were like, I really need to, you know, work on my membership side, I need to finish this, I need to prepare this. And then, you know, we were like, okay, it's a go, right? So basically we did
right.
kind of like shift the start date once, but that was it, right? And you know, that was, then that was a set date, right?
Yeah. And
yes,
so that, I mean, that was really important for me to see that I could be really mindful and I didn't have to tell myself a story about how I was procrastinating because I wasn't. I was actually just doing things properly.
yes, yes.
And that's a really good balance. And I don't think a lot of people talk about very often. It's either like make a decision quickly and that's misunderstood to just rush. And there's no,
Yeah.
that's not a good idea. And also you don't want to sit on a program like I probably would have for years on end before doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's both. So it's kind of like that balance which we had to strike between, you really had to trust me that I know what is good because I've seen so many different signature programs. I know what goes for, also price wise or, time wise or, for what type of people, for, what type of ideal client and all of that. So, you kind of like trusted me with that. And so I also think that thank God that you were so open to being like, okay, because I remember when you sent me your old, like program, and I was like, well, this is actually so good. Like it needs, of course, a little bit of, like work and kind of like, this off, right? Like, and rename it and reframe it a little bit, right? But this is perfect, right? And you were, because I don't want to overwhelm you if there's, if there's no need for additional, extra work, then that's awesome, right? But it was not that, because it was actually, I read every, single module and went through it, and I was like, this is awesome. This is how we can play with this. This is where we can take it, And, I remember you being like, yeah, a little bit like, really? Like, you think it's good? And I was like, yes, it's actually really, really good, right? And how we both kind of like really fell into that trust and kind of like appreciation and gratitude of like, because we could see that there was this mutual appreciation and this kind of like expert like kind of like honoring each other, and we had that vibe the whole through working together. So that's something I really, really enjoyed with you as well. So
Yeah, I trusted you. I felt very uncomfortable a lot of the time because I didn't know what was going on. but I trusted that it would all, because you kept on reminding me also, you said, just trust that the answers will become clearer over time. Don't worry. You don't need to know all of the details yet. They will reveal themselves after we work on this particular thing,
yes.
which will reveal the next thing. And so I knew that to be true. It was just a little uncomfortable sitting in the fact that like, I have a date for when I'm going to launch, but I don't know what it's called, or I don't know what the price point is, or whatever. Like whatever it is, the thing that my mind was sort of running on, it was okay. It all.
Yes, but then whenever we have those sessions, you can see like we really just dove in, and it became obvious. And but it was with your help. It was not something that I've created like in my back. Not strategies, marketing, all that. Yes, sure, but that's just helpful, and all the scripts and documents and things to help you start or do some of the things. But the basic work, I think, and this is where I feel why so many women are afraid or don't feel able to claim premium price, is because they don't even know they don't even know the steps of their transformational process, and they just think it's something that it's like, yeah, but something that my coaching whatever, like coaching system taught me, or it's something but that's like that's so far away from what a premium client is expecting from you, basically, when they're investing at like 5-figure or even more levels. It's not just some basic coaching type of a thing. It's an actual process. It has to lead from A to B to C to D, and then has other options and still can be always tailored, right? Which makes it which I think it's also where you felt so supported, because I was not being this like kind of like stuck within my within my lane, and kind of like we hang out actually like a lot during the process of launching, and I felt it was something you needed, and I was just very willing to give that as well. So yes.
Yeah, it was so important. Like the fact that you were actually so present at my launch, it felt like, anybody who was watching, who was on the launch, was like, who is this woman, Helena? She's really like, really supportive. I said, yes, she very much is. Thank you.
Yes. But it was for two reasons, right? It was not just because I thought your content was very interesting, because I like the way you're coaching people, right? But at the same time, I was also like teaching your VA a little bit about how to approach other people, like how to
Yes.
coach them through a little bit. and then also how to navigate the actual kind of like live conversations, because you were actually delivering the content, right? What to do afterwards, what to do before that, like, you know, how to
Mhm.
get people all rallied in, and, you know, how to get people actually interested and in conversation around the topic that we all know is super, super important to them, but they don't always want to be, you know, having that discussion, right? So it was a big.
Yeah, I mean, there was so much nuance that went into all of it, and it's amazing to talk about it now because
Yes.
when we were in it. We were in it. It was a pure adrenaline rush. But to really, I mean, we really were very thoughtful about what we were doing and why.
I even told you, you know, take your weekends off, kind of like, you know, that type of situation, just to regenerate and kind of like have that time off. But I know it's kind of like around lunch is a little bit, you know, you want to be present, you want to do all the, you know, nitty gritty. But so now I would say that, you know, the hard work, the bigger work is now done. I mean, it's still going to be like ongoing. So we're still continuing with that. And we've created this group where you have this kind of like, you can be enrolling people all the time, which, so that basically means there's no capped income, which is something that we're all very, very happy with, right? So, you know, yeah, this is something that, you know, everybody should kind of like look forward to also, and, you know, be excited about. So, what results do you kind of like expect to get based on what you have learned or what we have, you know, achieved so far?
Well, in the next round, my goal is to bring in terms of money, $100,000 or more for the launch. The way that breaks out, I'm open. I'm open because it could be a little, you know, mostly mostly people who are in the group because we've only just begun the group and it is alive. It is powerful. It's a pleasure. It's a place that I would love to hang out. And knowing that this is my life, that this is now my business, that this is the backbone of that business, I'm like, come one, come all. You don't even know what you're missing. So like, it does not feel like selling. It feels like I have the best place that you want to hang out right here. So that's going to be, that's, I obviously want to invite women into this.
Yeah.
I also am open to one-on-one coaching because it's another passion of mine. It's just one of those things that I adore doing. So the way that works out, I don't know. I'm game. I'm totally game. Happy to add a few one-on-one clients or to bring in a
More
larger
people.
amount of
Yeah.
group people. Whatever the case is, it'll be perfect. The energy is always perfect.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it basically it reflects who you are, and all the, you know, all the like the work that has been, you know, laid beforehand, right? So it's kind of like people can feel that, you know, orientation towards detail, and kind of like, you know, that attention, you know, like this kind of like positive perfectionism type of, you know, experience. So they know that they're, you know, you're not the one to be messed around with, right? So they know they're gonna get their, you know, coaching.
Even though it's a group and you get that fabulous benefit of having this kind of collective mind and this collective heart, which really is powerful for everybody. It also feels like I'm coaching each one-on-one because I actually have a relationship with every person. It's not an either or. It's not like I only do group or I only do one-on-one. It's the method is the same. It's still me. And it's still transformation for the people who for my clients, and it's just a slightly different environment, that's all.
So what it looks like is they kind of like get the best of you, right? Because you get to play all of your coaching roles out, right? And, you know, there's going to be new roles, you know, that are going to be discovered also, which is
Of course.
something that, you know, whenever we work from this kind of like the genius way method, like we're always kind of focused on that, like the desire. We're not focused on a specific, let's say, launch system or whatever. Like your method stays with you. If Facebook, you know, is dead tomorrow, your method is available, you know, for a live event or for, you know, a coaching, like one-on-one, in person, like whatever, right? Because the structure is set, and the structure is set in a way that allows you so many options that you can be going towards seven figures with conviction and with confidence, basically, you know, and then kind of like adjusting different strategies, marketing, sales, whatever, you know, to make that path, like, you know, journey easier on you, or or not easier, but more joyous, or more like having more free time,
Yeah,
or not, if that's not your choice. Okay, so we will of course leave the information for your group below the video, so people can link that up, and visit, because the free group is amazing. Also, you have a lot of wonderful women in there, and so people can find more information on that, right? So
definitely connect with me. The best way to find out more about what I do and how I coach and what my
yeah,
philosophy is. That's the best entrance.
yeah. So what is the name of the group? Yes.
You dash loved up.
Good job. Wonderful. So with that, for more information on the work that we're doing also, and with other clients, you're welcome to join my Facebook group, High End State of Mind, where we will provide you with more concrete view on my way of working, and, with new clients testimonials. And so I want to thank you, everybody, especially you, Daniela, which I love working with you. And so just kind of like thank you for all your time. And I look forward to be working, with all of you in the future. So I just want to say bye for now.